got excited about cake, because usually at weddings, cake is just kind of an afterthought, and it's usually, frankly, disgusting. Guatemala is the land of volcanoes, so it was we're trying to figure out a way to incorporate them into our wedding, and I was thinking, hey, why don't we have a volcano cake?
Was sent a Facebook message from Jake that had this big design. He had this pyramid structure kind of drawn out with different levels that that was proposed to make probably out of wood, and he would have to make it himself. Considering it was a wedding cake, it was pretty out of the ordinary. So I'm looking at this drawing and thinking, I mean, this sounds pretty awesome, but who knows? There's a lot of ideas that sound cool that don't materialize. But with Jake and all of us being down there, I figured, this could be pretty cool.
All right, so first we'll talk about the workshop and building the scaffolding for the cake. So we go up to the workshop, and to start out, the only workshop I've ever worked in that's a woodworking workshop had every safety precaution you could possibly think of. We had, the chalked lines of where you had to work around. So when I walk into this workshop, and we have a chop saw and skill saws and every other saw you can think of, and there's no safety precautions at all. There's not even goggles. Luckily I wear glasses, so I'm okay. So the wood shop was a bit of a fail. We go in, and Jake is going to be drilling a hole, and so he tries to drill it, and the wood spins really quickly, and it gets shredded. So it falls apart, and we have to figure out a way to nail it back together. And
I heard that you almost killed every male member of my family.
Oh, yeah. There was a brief. There was an optional removing of the.
Actually, at the exact same time, he decides he doesn't want to take the chuck out while putting the drill bit in. So he goes to drill it in, and as the wood is getting ripped apart, the chuck goes flying into the ceiling of the wood shop. And luckily, it just went into the ceiling and not into one of our heads, because that could have killed us. So the wood shop, completely unsafe.
Somehow we made it out of that shop alive, and by the morning, the scaffolding was complete.
So this is how you make professional wedding cakes when you're in Guatemala. Local staff. So we're covering up our beautiful piece of art so that the cake's not resting on sketchy plywood. And might look more sketchy now, but yeah, it's at least from a health standpoint. Food safe.
Excellent.
Pretty sure Home and Garden Television should watch out. This cake is gonna be awesome. Or Discovery, I don't know what that cake show.
Yeah, whatever.
Channel that's on, but TLC probably. Probably like film this and submit it.
Yeah.
For awesomeness.
Especially the lava
scale
flow.
of 1 to awesome. It's like super awesome.
We next took our scaffold to Gregorio, the Posada de Santiago's master pastry chef.
All right, look at this.
Doesn't quite fit. Test.
Yeah, let's see if we
No, let's just go ahead and bring it inside.
Oh, it.
No, our cake is too massive and awesome.
The scaffolding had become too large to fit inside of the bakery. After assembling the initial cake outside, we had turned our attention to the question of what kind of frosting would befit our volcanic erupting volcano cake. We knew it had to be something special.
We got them from Chichi, Castanenga. They're cacao beans. We make chocolate. This is what they look like without a peel on them. We would roast them, kind of like, well, not like coffee beans, but same effect, I'm guessing, similar at least.
All right, let's
and
do it.
grind them into a butter. So, stage 3, peeling. After the beans are roasted, they're super easy to peel, so we gotta get all the skins off before we can grind them up.
My consulting rate is $25 an hour, just so you know.
And you can't perceive this on the flip, but they smell like chocolate.
Who would have guessed? Alright, so here's all the ingredients for our blending process. So there's the beans that we did everything with earlier, These are macadamia nuts and almonds that we're gonna put in. And then we have cinnamon, brown sugar, and coconut milk if we want something extra. And then, of course, you've got to add a little bacon to give it some extra fat and enhance the flavor. And that's all we got. Just kidding.
Super volcano cake. Wow, rarely do one of my madcap schemes end up so closely resembling what was originally devised.
The cloud forests were made from coconut shavings steeped in green tea and vanilla rum. The canoe was pure chocolate. The cake was ready, and our big day had arrived. We gathered together. Our friends were all looking hungry, but before we could release the volcano cake, there was just one more critical ingredient that we knew we had to supply.
Yeah, as soon as Erin told me about this idea for a volcano cake, I knew it had to be on fire.
She mentioned that Jake was working on some concoction, and you know, not that surprising. Jake has a lot of interesting projects that he goes after. I think she said the first test he was mixing jam with Bacardi 151 with this grand idea to have real lava on his wedding cake.
For the flaming portion, I knew I wanted something that would pour out by itself. We didn't want a ladling. I wanted some sort of hydraulic system, and it needed to be on fire and flow slowly. So I tried a bunch of different combinations.
And so there he is in his kitchen. It sounded like just lighting things on fire, as probably not too rare a case in that apartment.
Somewhere between catching things on fire and calming down worried friends and family, I finally settled on the perfect recipe for flaming, delectable lava.
The recipe was simple. Nutella, Bacardi 151, makes lava. So that gave me the idea. I wanted a massive cake with supporting scaffolding and some sort of hydraulic system to force a flaming 151 Nutella mixture in a flambe style of Erupting Volcano.
I got a message later asking, he said he got a lot of stuff figured out, but was struggling a bit on how to get the lava to come out like it would, you know, a volcano. So he wanted to have the full eruption, of course, and so I started thinking about it, and he looked up a couple of things online and was kind of toying around with some ideas. And so I think it was kind of at that point, once I started putting some thought into it, that I realized, like, you know, this could actually happen.
We had the technology, a tube, a bike pump, eruption. That was the theory anyway. We actually never had time to test it before we put it on at the wedding.
Oh, I can't believe, oh my gosh. This is so exciting.
We have the cake.
Can we have one of these?
We're filling it with napalm.
I'm scared. Are you scared?
Stay behind me.
This might backfire, huh?
Yeah, this could end up.
Everyone, please step back to a safe viewing distance of at least 10 feet.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Is it like supposed to like...
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah!
Look at the ground.
Watch out, it's right on fire.
The south side of that thing. The south side of that thing.
Erin had pretty strong feelings on the matter. If we're going to have an erupting volcano cake, we're going to cut it with a freaking machete.
How's anyone gonna want to eat this cake now?
It's really good, actually. It's delicious, yeah. It's just like a bunch of tiny pieces stuck together, so it's not going to cut very well. It's not that easy to get a pyramid shape out of cake.
Applause for the newlyweds.
Apparently that is quite flammable.
Okay, yeah. The test did not prove to stand up to the results.
Did you like put extra Bacardi in there?
There's a lot of, the whole bottle is in that. There's a lot of alcohol on that side of the cake.
We thought we made a cake that would accommodate about 100 more people than it had arrived, but within an hour or two, there was no cake left. It turns out that Nutella and Bacardi 151 makes for a delicious combination. Probably the only time I get to claim I got over 100 people wasted on cake.
So now we're going to answer an age-old question. What happens when you go into a bank with a machete? Apparently there's not a problem.
No cell phones, but machetes are A-okay. So I chop, I pick it up, I let go of the trigger, and it just keeps running. It doesn't stop. It doesn't have the little shield that it's supposed to have. So basically I can stick my hand in there and just have blood and fingers just fly everywhere. But